Gentleman from New Jersey.
Mrs. Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from New Hampshire, the sponsor of the legislation, Mr. Hodes.
Gentleman from New Hampshire is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding. I rise today in support of this bill, Michelle's Law, which honors the memory and life and struggle of Michelle Morse. Michelle's mother, Anne Marie, and her brother Michael are with us today to remember and honor her. Michelle Morse was a college student in Plymouth, New Hampshire. She was like other students. She went to class and hung out with her friends. She was a happy and gifted student, preparing to be a school teacher like her mom. She picked her major, childhood studies, because she wanted to dedicate her life to help children. But Michelle Morse and her family were forced to make a choice that students should never have to make, a choice between her health and her health insurance. You see, while in college, Michelle was diagnosed with advanced colon cancer. She had her health insurance through her mother, but could only keep her health insurance if she remained a full-time student. Since she was undergoing rigorous chemotherapy treatments, her doctors urged her to take time off from school to focus on her treatments. Michelle was faced with a daunting choice: to keep her health insurance and maintain her full-time student status, or follow her doctor's orders and face colossal health bills for her and her family. Michelle chose to stay in school and keep her health insurance. She continued her chemotherapy treatments and maintained a grade point average above 3.5, which by anyone's standards is inspiring and shows just what a strong person Michelle was. Unfortunately, despite her valiant fight against cancer, she succumbed to the weight of the cancer and the rigors of being a full-time student and passed away after she graduated. But this story isn't just about Michelle. It's about Michelle's family, who fought with Michelle and continue to fight for Michelle to this day. Michelle's family, led by her mother, Anne Marie, made it their mission to ensure that this choice doesn't have to be made by any other family. Anne Marie Morse began a relentless campaign to change the law in New Hampshire so that students could have a medical leave of absence from college without losing their coverage under their parents' health insurance. When the law was changed in New Hampshire after her tireless effort and leadership, Anne Marie Morse wanted to make sure that students across the country would have the same protections. So she brought her campaign to Capitol Hill and began her efforts to lobby. She lobbied me, she lobbied other members of Congress, she lobbied everybody, and let me tell you, there is nothing stopping this mother's love. She called everybody she could and anyone she could in her campaign to protect other people's children from being faced with the same terrible choice she and her daughter had to make. I'm honored to know Anne Marie and the Morse family, and to have introduced this legislation, aptly named Michelle's Law, a law fueled by a family's love and a special young woman's memory. Michelle's Law would change current health insurance law to allow college students a year of medical leave of absence. Michelle's Law has worked in New Hampshire and can now work for students and families across this great nation. This common sense legislation has been embraced by Democrats and Republicans and by groups across the board, from the insurance industry to patient advocacy groups like the American Cancer Society, Cancer Action Network, which has been a leader in advocating for this bill. Mr. Speaker, I'd ask unanimous consent to submit the letters of support we have received for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
I thank you. I greatly appreciate the strong support and leadership of my colleague from Delaware, Mr. Castle, and Chairman Dingell, Ranking Member Barton, Chairman Pallone, and Ranking Member Deal of the Energy and Commerce Committee for their work and their staff's hard work and support. I also like to thank the Ways and Means and Education and Labor Committees and staff for their dedication in bringing this bill to the floor today. This strong bipartisan measure shows the American people that Congress understands the importance of doing good by doing the right thing. But what's most important is that with the passage of Michelle's Law, parents across this country are going to thank Anne Marie Morse and her family for helping to make sure that they don't have to make the choice that Michelle had to make. I urge passage of this bill. I thank the bipartisan support for this measure, and I yield back my time.